Okay, guys, a warm welcome to everybody to the intro and info session on life coaching for kids with me, Junaid Bayat, the creator and the owner of Life Coaching for Kids, as well as Personal Power for Kids. So it's a very interesting journey, especially for those of you that are parents. So it's an interesting time with the life coaching for kids industry exploding and booming globally. So I want to begin by asking a few simple questions, and then we'll get into the session. I'll give you a quick summary of what are we covering. I'll tell you a little bit about me and what qualifies me to actually talk to you about life coaching for kids and a whole lot more. All right. So yeah, this is the Life Coach for Kids and the Personal Power for Kids webinar for parents, for teachers, for anybody that's working with kids. I'm going to teach you the framework of the Personal Power for Kids, the program, as well as I'm going to run you through all the lessons that you need to instill a lot of these personal powers, the 7 powers of emotional intelligence for the kids that you work with or even your own children. All right. So let me begin by asking those simple questions, right? Guys, would you like to have a business of your own with already done for you products that are already in demand, especially with kids? I'm pretty sure you'll be telling me yes, because when you have your own business, coaching business with your own programs that are done for you already, that are already proven to work, it's like you already have an ATM, because now you can, go and run a course, you can run a workshop, or you can run an event and have people actually now pay you for the content, for the coaching programs that you're going to be running. Yeah. Would you like to work with kids? Would you like to be able to motivate them, teach them all these new things? And remember, we're living in a rapidly changing world. Things are changing every single second. Like right now, we know artificial intelligence is huge. How much have we adapted? So would you like to be able to inspire and motivate these kids, empower them with new techniques and new ways? I'm pretty sure you're going to say yes to that. Would you like to be known as an authority when it comes to working with young minds and young people? I'm pretty sure you're going to agree, and you're going to probably tell me yes, either because you either work with kids or you have kids of your own and you want to accomplish the same thing. Okay, that's very important, to be known as somebody who's an authority, who's the expert, or you can even use that terminology that you see on the screen, who's seen as a thought leader, somebody who actually leads an industry, working with kids. Would you like to go on holidays, especially during holiday time, right? Imagine it being this holiday right now, and next weekend you're going for a weekend to the Drakensberg or to one of the coastal resorts, and you've got 5 or 10 families coming along with you. And what is happening is you're going to be teaching the kids certain things for the day. They can go and run some activities, and then you can have 2 sessions, one early in the morning and one in the afternoon, maybe 2 1.5-hour sessions or 2-hour sessions during the day. And the rest of the day, the kids can go on activities, and you can do a session for the parents in the evening. That's like a retreat, right? So you can get paid for these, guys, because remember, I've done this many times before in the past, where we go with just 5 or 10 families to a resort somewhere and do a retreat, right? Would you like to be known as somebody who's really getting the results, especially with kids in this day and age? We know it's a challenge working with the kids of this generation. It's a different ball game compared to what it was like, 20 years ago. And also traditional psychology is kind of like outdated right now. So they don't have much research on kids and the behaviors or the science of experience and behaviors among young children, right? Also, how would you like young people, your kids, how would you like people to remember you, right? What is the legacy you want to leave behind? So those are some very important questions that I always like to begin with. So, I have you thinking and imagining these things. So very quickly, we're going to cover a little bit about who I am, what qualifies me to be speaking about life coaching for kids, and when did I create this? What's my contribution in the coaching industry? What's my objective of this training session? And then we're going to go into the Personal Power for Kids system, as well as the I6 authority coach training system, right? I6 is basically a framework. It's basically saying there's 6 I's to it. And you're going to see, I'm going to talk a lot about frameworks because this is something that really works well with kids out there in this day and age. So whenever you teach anything, you want to put it into a framework, even if it's with your own kids, right? But we'll talk about that. But before we talk about that and the actual coaching and the webinar of this session, you're probably wondering, who is Junaid? Why is he talking to us about life coaching for kids? What qualifies him? So guys, very, in a nutshell, very quickly, in less than 2 minutes, I'm the creator and the founder of the Accelerated Learning Enterprise. I own the Accelerated Learning Program, which has empowered over 136,000 students globally. I'm also the creator of the Authority Coach training, as well as the Life Coach for Kids training and the Personal Power for Kids program. So these are 4 or 5 different big brands of ours that have gone global and is being used all over the world. I'm an internationally accredited certified study coach, as well as a life coach for kids trainer. All right. My journey with coaching started at a very young age. But like I said earlier on, I'm the creator and the owner of these 2 huge brands, which are actually called Personal Power for Kids and Accelerated Learning. Life Coaching for Kids is also a big brand, but it's under the Authority Coach training brand. My background, guys, very strangely, I'm not a teacher. I'm not a psychologist. None of that. My background has been in technology. So I used to work for Transnet from 1994 to 2009. I was one of 6 specialists in the country. My job was to design email systems and networks, when technology was actually quite new. This was, I'd say, I started in 1994, and we know at that time, technology was very new, not just in South Africa, but throughout the world. So like I said, my background is very strange, but I've been working with kids not full-time, part-time from, I'd say, 1995, 96 onwards. I used to work with kids on a part-time basis because it was a passion, and I love kids. I have a good rapport, and I have these gifts that I am able to connect with them very easily. I've written a lot of books about kids, and my most common book and event that people come to is the one called Making Sense of Different Personality Types or Learning Styles. The workshop is called Understanding Your Child's Personality Type and Learning Style. I'm not sure if any one of you attended those, but those are that's when I wrote that little ebook. It was because of that webinar, and I got a lot of people requesting me to run that program in different places and different communities. Like I said, as you can see now, I'm passionate about kids. I love children, so I've been making a difference in their lives, empowering them, inspiring them. For the last over 20 years, right? In fact, it's much longer. Like I said, it started, as a part-time thing in the mid 1990s. So it's like almost 30 years, I'd say. From 1994. My contribution to the coaching industry locally and globally, guys, I'm not trying to brag here or trying to impress you, but at the end of the day, when it comes to children and young people, we only look for one thing, and that is results. Whether it's school results, whatever it is they're doing, we look for results. So I'm not trying to impress you, but I'm trying to impress upon the kind of results I have achieved over the last 10, 15 years with kids locally and globally. So I officially launched my Accelerated Learning Program in October 2011. It exploded. People didn't know how to learn, and schools, organizations, non-profits, all of these, different institutes and organizations started calling and requesting programs and training on this. So we've been featured in a lot of media, and this is locally and internationally, whether it's print media, radios, podcasting. I get interviewed all the time. I'm pretty sure some of you may have heard me on some type of media, or you've also probably seen me on social media. So as you can see, I used to have a youth radio show from, I think it was 2009. I had my own radio show that I used to do weekly session. Actually, I used to do 2 shows a week. And that ran for like about 2 years. And then my schedule became so much that I had to actually cut radio out. I couldn't go into the studios. And also in 2013, I was called by University of KwaZulu-Natal, and they told me they had a huge drop in results with students, and they wanted me to teach them my learning system, Accelerated Learning, to turn around the performance. And we were very blessed in that. We turned around the performance, and they asked me to remain as a guest lecturer up until today. I always go in and I coach, especially lecturers and students, on human behavior, brain performance, and how people learn. Basically, those are my fortes. Very, very passionate, and these are topics that are very close to my heart. In 2013, I was featured on national television, SABC One, because of the amazing results I achieved with matriculants 2 years in a row. My programs have been used by a combined of over 140, 150,000 people globally, not just in South Africa. So I'm used to doing workshops like this, as you can see in the picture. I can speak to, well, I've done this many times over the last 10 years. Annually, we run programs, huge programs like this, where I speak to, like, for example, grade 4 kids. I speak to 1,000 grade 4 kids for 3 to 4 hours, and I've got to keep them captivated, So I have the skills and the experience in learning a lot about their behaviors, what keeps them gripped, and what really works with them. So, when you work with 135,000 people over the years, over 10, 15 years, you get to know the patterns, you get to know, the trends and what's really going on in the minds of young people. Also, I've been very blessed that I've worked with over 12,000 teachers and parents, and my systems and frameworks are being used globally, not just in South Africa, but all over the world. I've been presenting about kids and young people's minds and behaviors and characteristics all over the world, Dubai, England, Canada, America, Australia, all over the world. You'll find that I've got students and trainers all over the world. And in 2011, I was also approached by SA Home Loans, the very first, I would say big brand that came and said, listen, we're very interested in your systems and your methodologies. Would you come and train our trainers? And I did a program. I remember it started first, we did the accelerated learning, and then I started coaching full time at SA Home Loans, where I used to run different types of training sessions for their talented team, for their marketing sales team, and a whole lot more. But it was more about developing and taking their brand to another level. From 2011 to date, every quarter we run 3-4 different workshops and programs for SA Home Loans. So I've been there quite a while. Other big brands that I've worked with are Liberty Life, Sogo Sun. I'm pretty sure everybody heard of Gift of the Givers, one of my big partners, right? So we've been working with them for a long time. In 2017, I was asked to write a column for the Sunday Tribune. So those of you that are out of KZN, the Sunday Tribune is basically the equivalent of your Sunday Times. Those of you that are in the Gauteng area, the Sunday paper, that thick. So I used to write a column for 2017. I used to write a column on basically brain performance and learning. And I must tell you guys, principals used to actually cut the articles out, and they used to make copies for every matriculant and give it out on the next day, on Monday. When I asked them, why did you do this? Why are you telling me this? They used to tell me, no, the content that you're putting out in the paper is of so high value that people would pay for this kind of knowledge. That's why we want to give it to our matric students so that they may benefit. So that was my contribution on the media. And then I've also been very blessed in that I have coached as a private one-on-one mentor. I've coached 14 Olympians, young people who compete at the highest levels in different, codes from different countries. I've been very blessed in that I've coached judges and magistrates from the High Court and the Supreme Court, well, basically the JSC. And also I've coached a few, like you can see that picture is basically the Proteas. This was the under 19. My job when I coach Olympians, judges and stuff is not to coach people on what they do. It's about getting them to, perform on a much higher level. That 1 or 2 millimeters makes a huge difference. So enough about me. Like I said, guys, I was not trying to impress you, but I was just trying to give you, impress upon the kind of results that I have achieved with young people over the last 10, 15, 20 years. All right. So what do I want to do today? Today, basically, I want to do is I want to give you a lot of tools and frameworks, basically, so that you are able to, become a life coach for kids. If you're working with kids, you can do these things so that you can actually empower this generation. This generation is somewhat of the, we hear the entitled and a whole lot, different labels that have been given to them, but yet they are in a time that none of us, have experienced ourselves, or none of us have, been given any materials or any manuals to say, what, these kids, your kids, this is how they operate. So basically, I'm sharing with you my experience of working with these kids. And I always from the mid-1990s, my job was to always look at trends and where things are heading, in which direction they are heading. So I want to share a lot of knowledge with you and give you as much skills as I can to be able to work with the young people that you work with. At the end, I'm going to give you an offer as well. If for those of you that would like to become personal power for kids coaches or even life coach for kids. Okay, so I'll probably take about 5 minutes to do that, but it's going to be 99% of everything I'm going to coach you to, well, train here today on this webinar is basically high value add. So very quickly, guys, if I were to ask you, what would you like to accomplish on this session? Why did you register to attend the session? If you can type out in the chat box, what is it that you would like to take away from the session today? So if you can quickly just type out, what is it that you would like, to achieve? What is your objective? What is your purpose for registering and attending this webinar? So if you guys can just type out in the chat box one or two, answers, and then we'll move on. Actually, excellent. Razan says how I can help my students be the best. Excellent. Yeah, we want to get this generation. You want to get them to tap in their true potential. Excellent. I want to actually teach leadership skills. Okay, that message is private to me. Just change it to everyone. Yeah. Junaid says, empower my kids to keep improving themselves. Excellent. Well done. So guys, as you can see, skills to empower youth to become their best. Excellent, Butler. Very good. Very good. Farzana says, I would like to achieve a skill to firstly work with my own and next to empower the kids around me. Excellent. Well done, Farzana. You'll leave a big legacy if you just, implement the skills that you learn, especially today, especially on the personal power for kids, right? I'm going to give you the actual framework. I'm going to actually give you even what you can, the topics under each one. And I'll even give you some talking points that will help you. Louis says, how can I teach grade 4 learners that struggle to read? Farzana says, my field has always been around kids, and now with 3 of my own, I'm finding it difficult. Yeah, right. I understand. So guys, just to let you know, I'm also a father of 4 kids. So I've been through the mill. I know these kids. I have them from ranging from different ages, right? From 25 right down to 4 years old. So I've been through it all. And yeah, because I was at one workshop where I was doing a program on understanding your child's personality type and learning style. And, in the introduction, a lady asked me, there's a lot of people that like to talk about children, but do you have children of your own? So yeah, I'm a father of 4 kids. So yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for that input, right? So we want to see now whether this is going to actually add value and you're going to get exactly what you came for. In fact, I'm going to say you're going to get more than what you came for, right? You're going to get full-on frameworks. So let's start with the I6. Like I said, I6 is a framework. It means there are 6 I's on how to become a life coach for life coach for kids. So what are these the 6 I's? The first I is what we call information. We need to know about this industry, this career, this new career that has crept up globally and it's expanding rapidly. We need to know a little bit about that, what's going on. Who is it that we would like to impact, right? You must remember, kids start from when they're little toddlers, from 18 months, 2 years old, going all the way right till when they reach like even in their 20s after school. So you don't want to be working with everybody. You want to be very selective about who it is that you're going to work with, like what age group or what phase they are in. It could be, you could say, I'm just going to work with primary school, or you could just say, no, I'm going to work specifically with grade 4s. So that is what defines or is the game changer in making you the authority and the expert as well, if you want to do that as a full-time career or even a side hustle. If you want to do it as a part-time thing, where I'm going to even show you with just 2 hours of work, in a week, where you can earn at least 2,000 to 3,000 rands. So I'll show you that as we coming to the income. As you can see, that part is about talking about the kinds of income and revenue you can generate and earn as a side hustle and doing it full time. We're going to talk about how we go about, motivating this generation. And I'm going to tell you something that actually defies what traditional psychology teaches us about motivation in young people. It's actually not even documented yet in most of the research in traditional psychology, as well as the research that they have on motivation. We'll talk about what's the best ways to implement change, bringing about what we call lasting change with this generation. And you guys, you know just as well as I do that this generation, they very used to short term. Everything is now, instant gratification. So implementation, when we make changes, we got to look at long-term change, lasting change. Now, for those of you that are wondering what is long-term change and lasting change, let me give you an example. You're probably right now, sitting down or standing and watching and listening to me. Right now, I'm sitting down. Now, if I had some kids around here, I want to give you an example of lasting change. And I said, this is a very special chair. It's not for everybody to sit. It's only for certain people who sits on this chair, special people. So the moment we get out of this room, we know most kids, everybody's going to jump to sit on that chair because we told them not to sit on it, right? But lasting change is when you leave, and maybe you're gone, maybe even after you pass on, they will keep telling other people, listen, they will continue the message and they will tell you, listen, this chair is not for us to sit. This is for special or somebody else. So they will pass your message on and they will pass the learnings. That's lasting and lifetime change. That's the kind of change we need to instill in this generation. Okay, so then we'll talk about the last one. Like I said, the investment to become a life coach for kids with a done-for-you coaching system that you can use in the coaching, in the Personal Power for Kids program. So let's look at some of the trends and the timelines of what's going on. When you want, right, the most important thing before I go any further, guys, one thing I need you to understand, the coaching industry globally, right, on a global perspective, there are no laws or regulations that are in place to regulate the industry. So it's currently a highly unregulated industry, even in South Africa. So what does that mean? It means that there are no prerequisites. It doesn't mean, it means like anybody can become a coach, right? Even a kid can become a coach, So currently there are no prerequisites or requirements that, hey, you need to have finished school, you need to be able to speak English. Those are kind of like requirements. But for some strange reason, the coaching industry globally, there are no laws regulating the industry as yet. There are schools and organizations like Comensa, there's UCT, and a few other ones. Like globally, you've got the ICF, the International Coaches Federation, and the International Coaches Register. These are global bodies, and locally we've got, like I said, Comensa. These are some of the bodies that are looking or trying to regulate the industry. But right now, there are no laws regulating coaching and life coaching for kids as well. Now, the key that will differentiate you from anybody else when you work with kids is giving very, very life-changing, or what I would call high-value content. Content that makes a huge difference in people's lives. They're going to improve. They're going to grow. Even if it was just a 30-minute or a 1-hour session with those kids, when you leave there, they're sending messages, or they write out in their experience sheets that, wow, this changed my life. I never knew this. My confidence is up there. So you got to constantly add massive value in people's lives. And with kids, the key combination is about building skill sets. There are different areas in their lives. They go to school, sleep, social life. So there's different aspects in their lives, and they need to build good skill sets. We call this capability or competencies, all right? So it's very important that you, if you want to differentiate and really stand apart from others, you want to be teaching a lot of skills and techniques that are needed and in demand. I will be talking about the trending skills and the growing skills of 2023 towards the ending, and you'll see what is it that companies and organizations are looking for, because these are global, and it's done in actually quite a lot of countries, and South Africa is one of the participants in that. So with information, we also need to have a presence. So let's start talking about the coaching industry. Okay, so if you look at timelines, right now, more so because of COVID and the full lockdowns that we had, and kids were unable to socialize. And I want you to think about how much or how important the kids of today's social life is to them. Think about that just for a moment, right? And then understand that that was now locked and taken away from them. So it has had a major impact on their mental health, right? So right now we know, and this is going to shock you, right? According to UNESCO is saying that 79% of children now in 2023 have some kind of mental health or mental issue, whether it's worry, whether it's a low self-esteem, lacking motivation, lacking drive, whatever it is, but they're telling us that 79% of children have some kind of mental issue. 40 years ago, we never heard of this, So right now, children have more issues, mental issues than ever before, where it stems from worry, low self-esteem, lack of motivation, drive, and all of these things, right? But these are some of the things. So what does that mean for you and I? That means it's a huge opportunity, okay? Remember, when coaching launched, it became very big in the 80s and the 90s, and a lot of leaders use coaching now more than ever. Like, for example, executive coaching and leadership coaching is the two big industries. But life coaching for kids, coaching of kids, is the second fastest growing industry behind technology right now. So there are a lot of training schools being formed globally. A lot of people are coming up in the last, I'd say, 2-3 years. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. Everybody's health coaches and this coaches, and everybody's jumped on that bandwagon. But if we look at the base needs of these kids, and mentally we know how they're struggling, kids need coaches. Kids need to be coached, whether it's your own kids or other kids. All of these kids today, based on the stats, need to be coached. All right. So there is a huge demand for the service of coaching of kids. And like I said, it's highly unregulated. And what I've also learned, from experience is, like I told you guys, I've mentioned this, I think maybe 2 times now, that traditional psychology is currently kind of like outdated when it comes to the minds and the working of young children, young people. Okay, so what we got to do is the cutting edge technology in psychology is currently neuroscience. So if you want to actually get into the field of psychology, you want to delve into the neuroscience portion. That's cutting edge. That's the latest. You learn the global best practices and the best of the best things there. Like we said, you're going to get a lot of fly-by-nights, and I'm using that terminology that suddenly just come up, and suddenly they are doing coach training and life coach training. You also, at the same time, like I've had a lot of, I've got that word there, horror experiences. I had very recently, towards the end of April and the beginning of May, I had flown up to Johannesburg to do some coaching sessions, and there was a new client that came along, and she was from the East Rand. And one of the things she told me was, I will never, ever use another life coach ever again. And I was like, why? What happened? And then she told me all the things that happened. You're going to hear these horror stories, because a lot of people think that you can go and, just learn some theory and then just come and work with kids. It doesn't work like that. You got to actually put into practice those techniques, right? You got to be able to know how to use it and understand when to use it. You got to have, that backing as well, and the support of a mentor or another coach as well. So yes, you're going to hear a lot of these horror stories. And then you're also going to have, this is the common one, the different coach training schools or organizations are just going to claim that we the blessed. I believe that it's open field out there, and because it's unregulated, there is no way of measuring the metrics. I always say, look at it from one aspect and one perspective. Look at the results. Look at the organization. Look at how long they've been doing this, and you look at the results they have achieved and accomplished over the years. Now, guys, initially, especially in the early 2000s, nobody wanted others to know that their kids are being coached or their kids are seeing a life coach. Right up until 2014, 2015, where before, when I used to coach kids, when I first started, people would say, please keep it very confidential. Now, it's one of the clauses on my coaching agreement, is clause number 4, which is about the confidentiality, because we don't ever mention names or people, that are well known. We don't ever mention or give out names. So, like I said, at that time, a lot of people used to please say, please don't let anybody know my child is coming to you. But it turned around about 2014, 2015, everybody suddenly, it became like a status symbol. Oh, my child has a life coach. My child is busy with their life coach. So it became a status symbol. And a lot of times, what I found was a lot of parents would also send their kids just to be the first to have had certain experiences with a life coach or a certain kind of, coaching event. So, it was basically a lot of different reasons, but basically it became, to me, in a nutshell, if I were to just, give it one word, it became a status symbol for a lot of people as well. So in 2015, we saw, like I mentioned earlier on, the rise of leadership coaching, executive coaching, and life coaching for kids. So I want you to know, right now, we're living in the age of knowledge, You can get any knowledge, any information at a touch of a button. You can find it, especially now with artificial intelligence. But what has happened is, globally, even though people have access to Google and ChatGPT and all of these things, they still want to go to an expert. They still want that human being that has the expertise to be able to help me with whether it's my child or whether it's the kids at school. So basically, even though people can have access to information, they still want to go and speak to that expert, that thought leader, the person who's the guru, the person who really knows and has experienced this with people. And also the delivery now, because of the technology, has been that people can coach in different formats. I have a coach that attended my training, and I've coached her and I still mentor her. She does coaching. She's been doing it for about 5 years now, from before COVID. She does WhatsApp coaching, right? And she does WhatsApp group coaching because she doesn't want people to see her. And she generally meets her clients, once at a workshop or an event before. And then the coaching sessions that she does it over WhatsApp. So yeah, coaching can be delivered via email, via WhatsApp, via video, via Facebook groups, via webinar. There's various formats of delivering your coaching, okay? But the best and the most effective is always and still will be in person, where you're in front of that person and you coaching them, because when they're in front of you, you can read their body language, you can read their tonality, and there's so many things more that you are able to do just by being in person, that human connection. And it's something that drives all human beings. So also what you'll notice is that fees, because there's so many coaches, and a lot of people are charging fees by the hour or by the session. So what you should do is, whenever you coach, and if you're coaching and you're going to be charging, or you want to do this now as a hustle, you always coach for a result. So your fees are based on a result that you're going to accomplish. Okay. It should not be based on time. It should be on the value that you bring to the table as a coach. So please make a note of that. You want to charge your fees. I call it value-based fees or value-based, coaching. So basically you charge for the value that you bring. If that child is lacking self-confidence, what is it worth to the parents to now instill and super boost that child's confidence, that they become, highly confident and able to socialize and do it? What is the value for that child, for the parents? So you want to make your fees not by time, but by value that you add. And yeah, like I said, a lot of organizations are trying to now look to regulate the industry. All I would suggest is, when you do your coaching and live coaching for kids, get yourself aligned or registered with one of the organizations. That's probably, I prefer global. The reason I went with global and I didn't go local was, guys, because I have an international audience. It's not just local. So if I went with Comensa, it would not be helping my clients in Australia or in Europe or in London or even in Canada, right? So it's not going to help them. That's the reason I went with the ICR, International Coaches Registry. And like I said, also, when you're looking at a coach, for a coach, or even a coach training, you want to look at reputable organizations. Look at the results they've achieved, how long they've been operating, not that they just came in now because of COVID and everybody's jumping on that bandwagon. Okay, what do I see over the next 1 or 2 years? I'm seeing the demand for coaching in young kids growing even more. I was at some of the schools just before the exams started, and I did a lot of workshops. I think in this half year, I've probably been to over 50 schools. And what I've noticed in the city right here in Durban, I'm from Durban, one of the big things is right now, there's, the number one challenge that kids are facing is worry. The worry of, especially amongst young girls in primary school, worry of fitting in. Am I the right shade? Am I the right shape? Will they like the way I talk, what I wear? Currently, there's this thing, and yeah, I'm talking about even public schools, and not just private. I'm talking about across the board. Will I fit in? Will others like me? Will I be able to be just be myself and people will like me? So a lot of people are putting these fronts, and that's the reason why we need to actually now teach them and coach them to be themselves and be absolutely happy with being loving themselves for who they are. They don't need to put these filters, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally. You don't need all of that. You should be confident and happy being you. But like I said, with the high demand, you're going to have people driving prices down. I feel you should have a standard and you should not drop. Like I said, I prefer value-based coaching. And those that actually are able to achieve results will be able to, dictate the kind of fees that they want. Like I said, we spoke a lot about this, right? We spoke about that. But looking at it in the long term, right? 3 to 5 years, coaching for kids is going to become, like, for example, I'll give you an example, guys. I've had some meetings with the Minister of Education and with 2 provincial ministers, MECs, they're looking at from a national, from a national perspective, they're looking at every teacher in the future must have actually been through a life coach for kids training. They're actually looking at that. So they even wanted to buy part of the program. So it will become, a highly valued profession that's driven like teaching, where it's needed, it's in demand, right? Teachers. So this is how coaching is going to become. And remember, teaching as well has changed. Now, with the advent of technology, the kids have access to all the information, all the curriculum content. So there's a flip there. So there's going to be a different role for teachers. Those of you that are teachers, you're not going to be teachers for too long. When it flips around, you're going to become facilitators of the learning process. Okay, let's move on. Moving even long term, in the next 10 years, I'm seeing coaching coming in and becoming a very highly respected profession, as well as these will be the go-to people who will actually, when kids are having challenges, issues, anger management, confidence, motivation, all of that, these will be the go-to people who will be actually transforming the future generation. And it's going to have a ripple effect. They will tell their kids. I've already had this experience where kids that I've worked with in, for example, 2012, 2013, 2014, now they are married and they're sending their kids to me, so, and they tell other parents. So you're going to have that where it's going to have that ripple effect as well. So it's a thriving industry, right? It means there's a huge opportunity for everybody to become life coaches for kids. The key here is, guys, because we're living in a rapidly changing world. So like I said, it's a rapidly changing world. What you want to do is you want to constantly upgrade, know what is going on in the minds of children, learn everything you can about their behaviors, about their habits, about their skills and things like that, because that is what will actually, when you know them better than they know themselves, that is going to put you way miles ahead. Okay, so basically it's a huge opportunity. And you can, start, like I said, you can start, especially if you're a teacher or somebody who works around kids, social workers and stuff. You can start this as a side hustle or part-time thing that you do 3 or 4 hours a week, and it can earn you some very good money. And we look at the monies just now. Okay, you need to have a presence. Now, guys, let's talk a little bit about personal power, right? Personal power for kids. If you look at this word personal power, what does it mean to you? Personal power. How do you interpret that information? Personal power. Yeah, absolutely. A certain power that you have control on. Okay, it's personal, it's mine, it's internal, So I've identified the 7 key powers that a child requires. You have control. The key here is it's something that makes people, take control. Again, it's yours, it's internal. That word personal, it's yours. You take control. Okay, so let's talk about this personal power for kids framework and what it entails. What are the 7 powers and why it's so important? So why is it so important, guys? If you look at this triangle, you can draw this triangle for yourself as well. Right on the top of the triangle, I have the words EQ, which stands for emotional intelligence. And on the right side of the triangle, you see the words or the letters IQ, intelligence quotient. And on the left-hand side, you see the letters SQ, which stands for social quotient, social intelligence. So we have emotional intelligence, intelligence quotient, and social intelligence. Now, this is what I call a life management system. When I designed it, I call it an LMS, a life management system for young people. Right on the top is the child, everything about the child, their emotions, knowing themselves, managing themselves, self-confidence, everything about the self. And then on the right-hand side, the IQ is, what's their job? Their job is to go to school every single day of their lives for about 10 to 12 years. So they need to have the right kind of skills and competencies for school as well. And for them, the most important part of their lives is their social life. These are all their relationships, whether it's online or offline, whether it's family or friends, but these all fall into the category of relationships. These are the 3 most important aspects of any child's life in the 21st century. Why is it so important? Now watch, guys. If something is going on with the child, EQ, let's say the child is stressed out. So now suddenly I'm stressed out, I got anxiety. It's going to impact the IQ. It's going to impact school. And likewise, if it's impacting you, you got anxiety, it's impacting school, it's going to impact your relationships with your teachers, right? Let's look at your relationships, SQ. If if that child's best friend just backstabbed them or had a major fight with them, suddenly now the emotions are not right. They are highly emotional. They're probably crying. It's going to impact them, the EQ, and it's also going to impact the performance in class. And the same if we go to the right-hand side, the IQ. If they're having problems and challenges and issues in school, it's going to have a direct impact on all their relationships as well as their emotions. So in a nutshell, each of these 3 sides has a direct impact on the other 2 sides. So very often, a child might be performing very poorly or doing badly in school, but it's got nothing to do with the academic skill sets, meaning like learning skills and study skills. Sometimes it could be an emotional issue. It's nothing academic. It's an emotional issue. They're having emotional issues because the parents are getting separated, or they're coming from a single family home, or it can be a whole host of variety of reasons, but most of the time it's not IQ related. It's not school related. Okay, so I want you to know that each one has a direct impact on the other. That's why I call it a life management system. Now, it's based on the framework, on a word, on a phrase. That's a very common phrase used by kids. It's called, I'm game. They're always game. They're down to do anything. Okay, so the entire framework is based on these letters. I'm game. Right? So you'll be able to remember this for the rest of your life. It's easy, right? Just remember the phrase, I'm game. And I'll walk you through, right? I stands for, before I walk you through, here's the trending skills for 2023, right? This is basically according to the World Economic Forum, where they actually go to different countries and they look at the, what are the declining skills, what are the growing skills, what are the top skills a person requires to actually succeed in their different areas in the different times. And now, right now in 2023, take a look at number 6. 2015, EQ was not even in the top 10, guys, and it's not even 10 years. It's not even 10 years down the line, and emotional intelligence is number 6 on skill sets that every child must have. So this is how important mental health is right now, more important than everything, over and above the academics, everything. People are worried about their mental health. So emotional intelligence is right up there, and it's trending. It's growing even more. I think it's probably going to hit around about 3 or 4. It'll probably be number 3 or number 4 very soon. That's how much of importance emotional intelligence is. By the way, those of you that don't know what emotional intelligence is, it's based on 4 things: self-awareness, self-management, and social awareness and social management. Okay, so emotional intelligence, EQ, is 4 areas: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. So now we know the importance of emotional intelligence, right? Let's look at the I'm game framework and all these powers. So I stands for internal power. Who am I when nobody can see? Who am I? What values do I have? What principles? What kind of character? These are the big powers that we teach on the Personal Power for Kids. You need to teach this to your kids as well. What values and principles do they live by? In fact, write this down, all of you. There are 3 factors to success in a child's life, right? There are 3 factors of success that can determine a child's level of success in life. It's not on the slides. I'm just teaching you something over and above. Number 1 are their guiding moral compass, values and principles. Number 1, the most important thing that shapes a child's success is what are their values and principles. And notice how much of values and principles are lacking in this day and age with young people, right? So number 1 is your moral compass. That's the first factor of success. My values and principles, the things that I stand for. Number 2 are the choices and decisions. So choices, decision making is a skill that they must have, right? Number 2, second factor of success in a child's life is decision making. Having the ability to make good choices. You and I, when we grew up, whatever our parents told us or our teachers told us, we shut our mouths and we did it. Okay? That's how we were. This generation, when you tell them what to do, they will ask you 1,000 questions on why they need to do that. So we should not do what our parents did to us. They told us what to do. When you tell this generation what to do, it doesn't work. They'll question and they'll actually do the opposite. So rather we teach them how to make their own choices and the consequences of their choices. You see? So we got to teach them, because guys, as strange as this is, I'm just driving the importance of values and principles. This will shock most of you, or probably all of you. According to, again, I use a lot of research and stats, right? According to polls done by, again, the World Economic Forum and Gallup, the average age of children who send out nudes and are sexting in South Africa, if you know, the average age is 7 years, 4 months. The average. That's the average. So what we can tell you from the research is kids as young as grade 1 and 2 are sexually active. You and I might think, they know everything, right? And it's all, learned skills. These are things that they are learning from, whether it's the videos they're watching, whether it's, music they're listening to, whatever it is, the media is shaping them. This is, I'm talking about, the social media, the music, all of these things is shaping them like you cannot believe, So those of you that have kids, quick question. Do you allow your kids to watch Disney movies? If you have kids of your own, do you allow them to watch Disney movies? Let me tell you why. So those of you that don't know, Disney movies actually are indoctrinating your kids to become highly sexualized. You don't believe me? When this webinar is over, Google search Disney movies and subliminal messaging. You're going to get a shock of your life. It's one of the tools of mass mind control, and that is using movies, using televisions, using all of these series and stuff to actually get into the minds of young people. You're going to get a shock of what the Disney movies are doing. Okay, they're indoctrinating them to become highly sexualized. So, like I said, the 3 factors of success: number 1, your moral compass, your values and principles. Number 2, decision making. Right? You gotta have the ability to make good choices and decisions. When somebody says, "Let's bunk school," or "Send me a nude," or "Let's do this," you are not there. The parent is not there. The teacher is not there. That child has to make a choice, has to make a decision in that moment. So we need to teach them how to make good choices, and that choices and decisions have consequences. Yeah. Okay. So this is internal power. The third factor of success is having consistency, discipline, meaning every day you're doing something consistently every day at a set time. I call it daily focus. So every day, you wake up at a set time. I eat at a set time. I go to school at a set time. I pray at a set time. I do homework. So everything I socialize, you got to have discipline, and it creates structure in your life. Okay. And kids thrive on structure. Those of you that have young kids, especially if they're toddlers under the age of 5, when a child has no structure and they don't know what they're going to be doing next, and if you as a parent come, "Okay, you need to stop playing now, we need to go inside," because they have not been communicated or they don't know what is happening next, they will fight you. But if you go to the same child and tell that child, "Listen, you've got 10 more minutes, you need to finish up, and when you're done, we're going to go in to go and eat, or we're going to go in to wash." You got to give them that structure. The brain in behavior requires that kind of structure. You need to give them that kind of structure and tell them, "Right, after 10 minutes, we're doing this, and after we finish that, then we're going to do that." You got to have that in place. Otherwise, they fight you. And don't ever, from my experience, you don't engage, you don't argue with the child. You'll always lose. They always have something to say. So it's not worth arguing and fighting with kids. So these are some of the things you can teach your kids, right? What are society values, global values, family values? What are the principles we live by? You want to choose character traits. Teach your kids character traits. There are 52 different character traits. Choose one, make it, for example, a theme for the year. You can do this in your classrooms as well. A theme for the month, sorry, not the year, theme for the month. And every day we only talk about that one character trait. My suggestion is start with the character trait of respect. This generation has lost all respect for elders, teachers. So let's start, with this trait of respect. They need to learn how to actually show respect to the elders. Greet your elders, give them preference, not acting like they're so entitled. So yeah, start with that. Having a winning attitude. What does it mean to have a winning attitude, right? Your attitude will determine your altitude in your success with children. There you go. Yeah, respect and humbleness, right? So, and decision making. So these are some of the things you can teach in terms of internal power. The second M under I'm game, I was internal power. M is for mind power. What kind of mindset do I need? Remember, sometimes, and the importance of mindset is massive, guys. If I had the time, I could teach you a whole lesson, but it'll take me like 45 minutes on why mindset is so important in anything that you do. That's why you'll find anything you start, they'll always tell you mindset. So the mindset, having the right kind of mindset, what holds me back? How does my brain work? Having the growth mindset means that with a little bit of focused effort, we can improve and change things around. The opposite of the growth mindset is called the fixed mindset. And the fixed mindset, they just believe that, for the rest of my life, this is how it's going to be. So these are some of the things we talk about under mind power. It's basically to master your mental power, okay? About thoughts, about optimism, about, how I've been conditioned, what are the kind of conditionings I've had, what is my human potential, what are my limitations, things like that. These are the things you need to teach your child under mind power. The third one under I'm game, I was internal power, M was for mind power, the G is for growing power. What are some of the powers that they need on an everyday, day-to-day basis? Things like how to deal with mistakes, how to bounce back from failure, grit, determination. These are things that are very, very hard to find in young kids now, especially when it comes to grit, determination, resilience, persistence. They have very little of it because they need the instant gratification. They want it, I want it now. So how do you deal with change, moving on, managing fear, mistakes, forgiveness, letting go, managing stress? These are growing powers. These are the lessons, the different types of lessons that you get under growing power. These are the kind of things you need to be teaching your kids when it comes to how to grow, growing power, the power of growing up. The next one after GR, these are the talking points. You can look at how to manage fear. What exactly is fear? The reason why we've got overcoming mistakes. Now, guys, remember, there's a lot of research that I have put into this. It's years of research and analysis. Why? You'll find that a lot of children, especially young kids, have this attitude of perfection. Everything must be perfect. It must be right. That's why we got to teach them about how to overcome mistakes. And, it always doesn't have to be perfect. It's all about progress, not perfection. And that is why you'll find one of the lessons is about progressing and persistence, perseverance. Next stage or game over. Yeah. And stress, we know everybody's stressed. It's how do we manage it? And stress is good. A little bit of positive stress, because there's two types of stress. You get positive stress and negative stress, right? Positive stress is kind of good. So a little bit of stress is actually quite good. How to deal with forgiveness, letting go, sealing it in the box, things like that. These are things you need to teach the kids. The fourth power is now the achiever power. How do I go about achieving things in my life, whether it's goals? And remember, there is something higher than goals, right? And that is having a mission and a vision. So you need to have these things in place. Every term, you need to have goal grades. They need to know exactly what target they are working towards. So in their social life, in their skills, in school, right? In their spirituality, they need to have goals. They need to be able to have certain things that they are working towards. And one of the things that are very important in achieving things and achieving power is giving time to each of these things. You have your bucket list, you've got your dream list, and how to now set out time to all these long-term visions and things that you're working towards. Here's some of the things you can instill here. Have a vision, values, purpose of life, the purpose of education, our legacy, how to actually build discipline by mastering my time, how to set out goals and achieve goals. These are all the things that you need to teach under achiever power. Under me power, the M after I, M, G, A, the second M is all about me power. Everything about the self-belief, self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-talk, self-motivation, self-respect. This is the power, me power, which kids need and they must have so that they are able to now not be afraid of being themselves. The power of me, the self, right? This is a very big power. So you need to, in fact, every child must start with this self-belief, self-esteem, and then self-talk. Then, right now, when it comes to motivation, this generation is highly motivated by material objects. They always want a toy or something or money. We need to teach them how to be intrinsically motivated, that they do things because this is who I am and this is my standard. This is what I like to achieve. This is how I like to do things, So it's very important that they are motivated with intrinsic motivation and not material objects. Respecting yourself in this day and age of nudes and selfies and all of that, they need to know how to respect themselves, right? Having a gratitude journal. What are 3 things they can be grateful for every single day? How do I talk to myself? Did you know that the average human being has between 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day? And 95% of it, most of the time, is negative, especially with children. They're always thinking, oh, I can't do it. I can't. I don't know. So we need to teach them how to talk to themselves, because very often they are putting themselves down. They are their own worst enemies. Okay, number 6 in the I'm game framework is the emotional power. How to anger management, how to basically manage your state how to control your state, which makes up your attention, your body, and the kind of language you use, how to deal with bullying. If you are a bully, IQ versus EQ versus SQ, how to have a balance in all, how to understand other people, right? And understand that others are going through, whatever it is they're going through, and how I can support and help, not hurt, and put people down. So if you have been keeping note and making notes, you'll know this emotional power is the sixth power. All right. These are some of the things, the talking points you can have here when you're teaching your kids or your students, right? So the last power, the seventh power, is social power. Okay. Social power is all their relationships. Now we got to teach them how to be themselves. So it's all about teaching them about identity, about how to basically, I call it, when it comes to technology and social media, the good, the bad, the ugly. So you tackle everything. How to be a leader, not a follower. How to actually lead your own life. You don't have to be leading other people, but how to lead your own life. How do I manage relationships? How do I set out healthy boundaries? These are things they need to know. What about in communication? Body language. Guys, did you know in communication is broken up into 3 parts? The words that you speak is only 7% of communication. 7%. 93% is not the words. So what is that 93%? Well, 38% is the tone of voice, how you say something, right? Tonality. And 55% is body language, physiology. So you can, in neuroscience, we say you cannot not communicate, because how you tilt your head, how you move your hands, how your eyes are, everything is communicates, telling something about you. So we need to teach them about communication, effective listening, how to listen to understand, not listen to reply, because that's what most kids are. They just listen so that they can give you some kind of answer. So these are some of the talking points, how to deal with relationships, how to deal with, all of these challenges that they're facing with, the good, the bad, the ugly of technology, how to, as you can see, their filters, fitting in, feelings, all of these things. Very important, but it's one of the key powers that a child requires to succeed in 2023. All right, so let's talk about the same kids that you want to impact, right? Like I said, you want to choose when I meant choose, it's like, instead of just saying I work with kids, you can say I work with primary school kids, specifically grade 4 and 5s. Now, when you talk about, okay, I coach grade 4 and 5 kids, another person goes, oh yeah, I got a grade 4 child. They can relate directly to you. But if you just said, I coach kids, suddenly in their mind, they have no idea. They don't know. Kids is very undefined. So you choose who you want to impact, and that'll actually make you an expert and authority when you become very specific on who you work with. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to negate all the other people. You have what I call a coaching crossover, because when I started, I used to work with little kids, and then people used to ask me, do you work with high school kids? I go, yeah, I work with high school kids. Oh, okay. So suddenly now you get high school kids as well. Now you become specific. Okay, grade 8 and 9, I got this program. Grade 10 and 11, I got this program. Grade 12, I got this program. So you now become very specific, and you now see the word pains there. You master the pains of these kids. What is stressing them out? What is worrying them? What is keeping them awake? When you become a master of their pains, they'll tell you, this guy knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows exactly what we're talking about. Like, I'll give you an example. When I talk to kids about accelerated learning, I always tell them, do you ever find it difficult getting down to learning and studying? They go, yeah. I tell them, do you ever find that you just don't have time? You just don't have enough time. You got to go classes, you got intervention, you got madrasa, you got this to do and that. And they just, yeah, there's no time. Then I always ask them, do you ever find that you are so overwhelmed because there's so much of work to do? And they go, yeah. Do you find that you're forgetting? What I'm doing is basically talking about all the things that's stressing them, that's worrying them, the pains that they get. So all you got to do is master their pains and find solutions. You create a solution to the pains that they are going through. This is how you coach kids. Whatever is stressing them out, whatever is worrying them, you solve it. And when you solve it 2 or 3 times. Now you've got something that you've done a few times. You now have experience, you understand it better. you can now create programs. When you create your programs based on the stresses, on their pains, this now positions you as an expert because he knows a lot about what we're going through when he's going to study. So this now suddenly, in the eyes of the kids, on the eyes of their parents or the teachers or the school, they go, okay, this guy knows a lot about kids. He knows exactly what they're going through. So this positions you as the authority and the expert. There's also 16 different, what we call positioning keys or levers that you can use to be able to actually position yourself as the authority and the expert as well. All right. So you want to choose your playing field, who it is that you want to coach, what type of problems. Like, for example, you could say also, okay, I coach kids, but I only work with self-confidence. So I work with kids in grade 4 and 5, and I build confidence. I build their confidence. I'm a self-confidence or a self-esteem coach for grade 4 and 5s. Now you become even more specific. Somebody else can say, I'm a relationship coach, or I am an emotional intelligence coach. There's different types, communication coach, there's a leadership, there's different types of coaches. You just want to choose one field, one area, one phase, one age group, and master that. And like I said, guys, like how this is the I6, you always want to use frameworks. Frameworks are a big hit with kids. That's how they remember everything, okay? And like I said, you take their pains and you turn it into a program, meaning you now create a course, which basically can be a 5-week course or a 6-week course, meaning every week you're going to teach them 1 or 2 new skills to deal with that pain, coping mechanisms or solutions, strategies and techniques on that pain, that stress that they have, that thing that's keeping them awake, okay? And that's how you now become known as an authority, as an expert, because now you mastered their stress. Okay, so technology and motivation. Guys, this generation, we know when it comes to traditional psychology, the old traditional psychology always tells us motivation, human beings were motivated in one of 2 ways, either pain or pleasure. Either you're getting the stick, you know, the donkey, the carrot and the stick, right? So it's basically pain or pleasure. I have found with my working of over 130,000 kids, I found something else that also really motivates this generation. That is attention, significance, the need to feel special and important. It seems to be a bigger motivator than pain or pleasure. They just love attention. This is what social media is all about. Think about it. Facebook, Instagram, every time they go in, see more likes, right? It's all about attention, okay? And some people, kids, can get attention by doing really good things and nice things, you know? And then you get some other kids who will actually get attention by doing bad things, destroying, bullying, belittling, you know? So they are motivated by attention a lot. I mean, if you look at it, since the advent of the social media channels and technology, how many kids have actually committed suicide on lives? Because it's all about attention, right? So again, you want to learn how to harness that attention and motivation and look at the benefit. When you are able to, benefit extension means, you know, very often when I'm called to, you know, assess or coach a child, the first thing I like to ask parents is, how is this impacting you as the mother or the father? And how is this child's behavior impacting the family as well? Very often, yeah, we know it stresses the parents out, but also it's having a negative impact on the family and the family environment, the entire atmosphere, right? So what you want to look at is always look at, when you coaching kids, the benefit to the family unit as well as the parents on the whole, you know? So when you're coaching kids, you can look at behavior and habits, but the best kind of coaching you can do is when you can get a child to see themselves in a different way. Basically, you upgrading their identity of how they see themselves. I'll give you an example. You know, a lot of kids, I've had students who tell me, you know, I never knew how to learn. You came, you taught us the 3 steps. I always thought I was dumb. I thought I was stupid. I couldn't learn. Now I know how to learn. I can learn anything. Suddenly now you've created a whole new identity in this child or in this person. So basically you've upgraded how they see themselves. This is now a huge flex because now they're able to take their lives to another level, transformation, you know. So the different levels of stages of coaching, the first stage of coaching is insight. Insight means they just got a lot of aha moments. They go, yeah, hey, this will help me a lot. That's just insight. The second stage of coaching is behavioral change or action change with a time frame. And when you actually, behavioral frame is they heard what you said, or they heard and saw the slides, whatever you taught them, and now suddenly they take some kind of action. They're doing something different. They're behaving differently. So when you got that second level of coaching, right, where there is a behavior change or there's a new action, automatically you get the third stage of coaching, and that is transformation. That child's life now transforms because there's a behavioral change, or they now taken some kind of action. Okay, there must be a time frame to that second one where there's a behavioral change or there's an action. There must be a time frame, meaning they must, like for example, if you ask somebody, what did you learn? They say, okay, I learned how to manage my time. There's no time frame in that. So if they say, no, from today, I will set out a to-do list. I will mark out now, because you heard the word today, there's a time frame. It means from now they're going to start that. So there must always be a time frame with a behavioral change or an action. Okay, let's go. And also another very important thing is social emotional learning. We call it SEL. You need to be able to connect on a deeper level with this generation. You got to become like them. They got to start looking at you and say, hey, he's just like us. Now, this is one of the reasons why I have such a good rapport connection with young people. Like I told you guys, I use this example earlier on that I can sometimes I speak to 800 to 1,000 grade 4s. So when I'm on stage in the hall, I become like a little grade 4, like a 10-year-old. I become highly energetic and I'm bouncing from everywhere. And they go, hey, he's like us. He talks like us. He's talking fast. He's got a lot of energy. Then they like you. They just suddenly, their mind goes subconsciously, he's acting like us. He's talking like us. He's using the same kind of word. He's just like us. I like him, So you got to match that, and you'll find that you'll connect to them on a much deeper level. You got to think of kids like an onion. They've got all these layers and these walls that they put up, but we got to break them down so that we can connect to them on a deeper level to be able to create that transformation and that changes that you want to bring about in their lives. Okay. So we spoke about, implementation and the 3 components of coaching. I'm going to skip all of that because there's a lot to speak about, but let's talk about this. Look, you can, just start coaching with one of 3 ways: with the results you've achieved, or you could have done some research, or you are a role model in certain things that you do, maybe in your time or your character or whatever it is, or you could replicate a proven system. Like, for example, the personal power of Kidz system, right? So you could replicate it, right? These are the different ways you can read up. That's research, reading up. Then I can role model it. I got the results because I've done so many people, or I replicate that results that I got with the proven system. That's how you go about implementing successful coaching. Then your coaching, remember I told you, you become a master of their pains and you create programs out of that. You got to be able to deliver it in different channels. Basically, why different channels? You got to look at, for example, if you're working with kids that have low self-esteem, you got to look at where they hang out. They hang out different places, right? So we got to be able to deliver a lot of high value content. Basically it's free, but you're making a huge difference in their lives. We call this educational based marketing. Okay. And always gather feedback. Even if you did a 30-minute talk with somebody, how did this benefit you? What did you learn? Can you write down 2 or 3 things? So you want to constantly get feedback. These are basically proof. Social proof is huge nowadays. When you tell a student, hey, these kids from your school 2 years ago, they came to the program. This is what they had to say. Whoa, this guy's from my school. Yeah, I know him. Yeah. So suddenly social proof is huge, even amongst adults, right? If you're buying something and somebody tells you, no, don't go buy from that Toyota. They got bad after, sir. You won't go buy. So social proof is huge. And that's what you need, especially with this generation, because their relationships are a lot social, right? It's very social, their relationships, all, whether it's online or offline. Now, when you do this, guys, and you become a master of their pain, and you're collecting feedback, you've given them a framework, like you call it the ABCs of confidence, or the ABCDEFs of confidence, whatever it is. Now you're creating raving fans. You don't even have to do marketing. They talk about it. They tell other people about you. That's raving fans, where this is, that's when a brand is at its peak, when it's advocate. We call this advocacy, where your clients advocate on your behalf without you even telling them. They just go, that guy, wow, he coached me. He did amazing. I don't have low self-esteem anymore. I'm able to do that. So suddenly that's what you want to do. And the only way for you to know is by you getting that feedback. And guys, the key is in your coaching to have processes and systems in place. You got to have processes of dealing with things. Anything, your own child. If your own child is throwing tantrums, you got to look at the patterns, and then you must create a process or a framework or a system of how, when this happens, this is what we do. When that happens, this is what you got to create processes and systems in place to actually bring about this transformation with young people, right? You must have processes and systems in place. Now, different platforms can give you different kinds of income. You run things as projects, right? For example, when I say platforms, you can do one-on-one coaching. You can do group coaching. You can do group coaching on Facebook. You can do group coaching on WhatsApp. You can do group coaching on Zoom. You can do group coaching live in person, right? So there's different delivery channels and platforms, right? Then you got to market these events, right? And like I said, in your marketing, you basically, all you do is you talk about their pains. And you talk about, are you experiencing this? Are you experiencing that? Basically, your educational based marketing comes in here, right? And whatever grades or age groups or phases you're working with, each one becomes a project. And we spoke about the social proof, right? So you want to give, for each 1 hour that you teach a child, you want to have one skill, and you want to have one story, and you want to give one proof of who did that, one client. Okay, so as a start, that's what you need. Let's look at some of the income that you can earn in terms of rand value, right? If you want to do this as a side hustle as well. So there's different ways in which you can deliver your coaching. Private one-on-one coaching, group coaching. Like I said, group coaching can be delivered in many ways, in person, on Zoom, on Teams, Facebook groups, as well as Facebook private groups, as well as WhatsApp groups. So there's different ways in which you can deliver your coaching. These are some of the different ways that you can get paid for your coaching. I'm just going to cover one or two, guys. I'm not going to cover all of this, especially like, for example, from 4 to 9 and 10. Those are, I would say, when you got a little bit of experience as a coach, then you can delve into those. Well, not so much 5 you can even start with, but generally some of those are more advanced, like subscription writing, web TV, online membership subscription. Those are things you do at a later stage. But let's look at some of the numbers, right? Retreats, these are big things as well. Once you well established and you have the credibility, you can also do those. But let's look at group coaching, right? If you do it on, there's it here, the different types of groups. Now, let's say you coaching a group of kids, 5 children, only 5 children. You're doing Me Power, right? You're teaching the 5 or 6 different powers under Me Power. So it's going to be a 6-week course, or let's just say it's a 4-week course, right? To make numbers easy. It's a 4-week course. So it means in 1 month, I'm going to be running 4 one-hour sessions on a Saturday morning, or even a weekday, but it's 1 hour, right? Now, we generally recommend, the standard is you charge 400 rands for a block of 4 sessions. Now, this also based on the demographics of your area. For example, I'm from Durban. In Umhlanga Rocks, we charge the same thing. We charge 800 rands and they happily pay for it. In Johannesburg, in the green side, the Johannesburg North area, exact same story, where you charge 800 rands and they will happily pay for it. Now, the exact same thing, the opposite is also the same, right? For example, if we go into an area like Phoenix, you won't be able to charge 400 bucks. Now you have to charge half that amount, 200 rands, because the demographics of that area, that's the affordability of that area. But the average, we suggest it's 400 rands for 4 one-hour sessions. So that course, 4-week course, if they're attending that 1 month course, right? But generally we run 8-week and 12-week courses. So if you run a 4-week course, you're charging 400 rands. Now, if you got 5 kids in the group, 5 kids in your group on a Saturday morning. You're doing 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. You're doing grade 4 and 5. You're teaching self-confidence, 4 weeks, right? That's 5 kids times 400 rands. That's 2,000 rands for 4 hours of work. The content is done for you with the Life Coach for Kids, Personal Power for Kids program. Now, if you got 3 different groups, like for example, maybe on a Saturday, you got grade 4 and 5 at 9 to 10. And then maybe 10:30 to 11:30, you got grade 6 and 7s. Okay. And maybe during the week, for those kids that go for extracurriculars on a Saturday, you can have a session on a weekday, maybe on a Wednesday. You say, right, from 5 or 4:30 to 5:30 or 4 to 5, whatever it is. But you choose, basically, if you've got 3 groups in a month, all right, that means 3 hours for the week. And each group is bringing you 2,000 rands income. So if you've got 3 groups, that's 5 kids in each group, 15 kids. That's an extra 6,000 rands a month in your. Where does the extra 6,000 rands make a difference in your life? I'm pretty sure all of you are going to go say, yeah, for 3 hours especially. Okay. So basically, that's group coaching. Now, if you're doing one-on-one coaching, whether it's via the phone, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's email, right? If you're charging, for example, per session, right, which is like plus minus an hour. The reason why I've got it here by hour, guys, if you're wondering, I prefer you charging value-based fees. That's why we say you just set it at a set fee and you don't charge per hour like with one-on-one. If you're going to do this for paying clients, you don't ever charge for a once-off session or a 1-hour session. You always get them to book 4 sessions, because in one session, how much can you do? How much of change work can you bring about? You'll just start getting to know them. So you want to have them book 4 sessions in a row. And mind you, guys, do not be like other coaches out there who are chasing one-on-ones. You do not chase one-on-ones. When you want to become an authority and an expert, you do not chase or do one-on-ones. You do groups. Because think about it, that same time that you work with one-on-one, you can work with a group. So instead of doing that same work that you would do with a one-on-one, you're now doing it with a group of kids, 5 kids. Now, remember, I'm using 5. It's a minimal number. You can get more, okay? You can get much more, 20, 30 in a group. It's just for now, we say to start, you start with 1. But now with one-on-one, and the reason why I made this point as well is, guys, when you do groups and workshops, you'll find that there's a small percentage, 8% of kids will always want the one-on-one. They'll want it and they'll need the one-on-one. The only obstacle will hold them back is affordability. Okay. They know they want it. They know they need it. The only thing that will come in the way is the money. So yeah, if you're doing one-on-one coaching and you're charging for a block of 4 sessions, 1,000 rands, and let's just say you've got 3 one-on-one clients at 1,000 rands for the 4 sessions, which is actually undercharging, right? We actually don't. So when you even come on the course, we always say you want to charge a minimum of 2,000 rands for a block of 4 sessions. But nevertheless, let's just use these numbers. You charging 1,000 rands for a client. You got 3 one-on-one clients. That's an extra 3,000 rands. Okay. So it's not much time. As you can see, it's 3 by 4 hours a month, which is actually 12 hours. So if you did 3 groups and you had the 3 one-on-ones, if you add 3,000 and 6,000, you got an extra 9,000 rands, right? Half that 9,000, 4,500, or even 3,000. Would an extra 3,000 rand make a difference? I'm pretty sure it would. Then ultimately, once you get used to groups, you want to run small workshops. Now, a workshop means you're getting 10 kids, 15 kids, 20 kids. So you can charge for a 1-day workshop, start at 9 a.m. and finish at 3 p.m. Like I'm running a 2-day holiday workshop on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 4th and the 5th of July. I'm running 2 sessions, a morning sessions for little kids, right? From 9 a.m. to 12:30. And then the afternoon session is for the big kids from grade 9 to grade 12 from 1:30 p.m. to 4:30. Okay. And I'm charging 300 rands for the 2 days, right? So far, we've already got about 15 or 20 kids booked. Now, you could do the same. You could go to a school and do a half-day workshop, okay? A half-day workshop could be anything from 20 to 30 rands right up to 150 rands. So if you got, let's just say, for example, you charging 60 rands and you target 50 kids. Maybe you're doing bullying. You're doing a topic on bullying. You go to a school, tell them, listen, I want to do this workshop on bullying. This is what I'm going to run for 3 hours, right? Or 2 hours. You'll have all the activities, everything broken down for you. And you're charging 60 rand per, 50 rand per child. Now, if they gave you 50 students who paid to attend that workshop, 50 times 50 rand, that's 2,500 rands. You just made 2,500 rands for 3 hours, once off, right? Same with a 1-day workshop or a 2-day workshop. You do the math. If you have just 10 kids paying you 100 rands or paying you 200 rands for a 2-day workshop, that's an extra 1,000 or 2,000 rands. So that's the kind of income we can generate, right? There you can see these are the numbers we're playing with. Now, it becomes very lucrative, guys, right? So if you do webinars and you do, again, online, it's same like a group, only thing I'm doing it online, right? You're doing it with Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and you can send a recording. Now, here again, we charge same. It's 400 rand per month times 4 sessions. And if you look at 5 kids in that Zoom session, in the group, remember, they have some kind of pain that you are going to solve. You're going to solve the stress, this worry that they have. So they want to attend your program because you got the solution to their stress and their problems. Okay. Again, comes to the same maths like the groups. If you got 2 webinars in a month, you're running them on two weeknights. And if you got 5 kids in a group, 2,000 rands, and you got two groups on webinar, that's 4,000 rand. They could be 2 different grades, maybe grade 4 on one day and grade 5 on another day. However you want to group them. Okay. So the key is now, if you do the math, what's possible for you guys? What's possible? If you're looking at these kind of numbers in terms of revenue, now money should not become your prime objective. Yes, bills need to be paid, things need to be done, but you should not, when you become a coach, when you want to work with kids, you should not make money your driving, it should not become your primary objective. You want to have the vision or that goal that, hey, I want to transform lives. I want to empower, inspire, and motivate kids, right? So the question again is, what's possible with that kind of numbers? Now, let me give you an offer. You can invest in a done-for-you life coach for kids and authority life coach training, or you could even become an accelerated learning study coach, right? I'm going to run you through this very quickly. I'm actually not even doing the opportunity. So right now we're running a 4-day course in Sandton and in Durban. The normal rate is 14,997 rands for the full 4-day training, international accreditation. We've dropped it, and because it's our 11-year birthday special on life coaching and life coaching for kids training. So there's 3 options. You could get the training and certification for 5,9997, or you could get the training and 5 done for you courses for 7,500. Or option 3, you get the above 2 and you get one-on-one mentoring with me over 8 sessions, right? Over 8 one-on-one sessions with me. We have payment plans as well. If you want, if you want to take it on credit or payment plan, it's interest free. It just requires a 50% deposit and a 6 or 12 month installment. Okay. Then we're also having the Life Coach for Kids 12-week webinar course. Now, this is where we're running the personal power and the life coach for you. So you're going to learn everything about life coach. In fact, I'm going to run you through what we cover in the 12 modules, right? So I'll be also running this on a live webinar. The webinar one, you can get it today, only today at 4,997. Okay, that's just today, only 24 hours. The early bird special is 5,997. The 12-week online, you can do this. All right, at your own pace. It's via e-learning. All our sessions are recorded and it's on the portal. You can do it at your own pace and in the comfort of your home, whenever you want to, as many times as you like. That one is normally 7,500, right? So you can get it on this special for 3,000 rands, 2,997. This is the option a lot of teachers and parents go for. They take this one, or they do the 12-week webinar because it's over 12 weeks, and that's the best options. I prefer the 12-week webinar and the online e-learning. Okay, so what are you getting? You're getting a world-class framework and program that is being used globally. You're going to have support. You're going to have dual certification. You're going to have 5 done for you courses, you have a professional email address, and you have different opportunities. Okay, this is what the 12 modules are all about. First one is service mindset, social awareness. It's all about the different things, right? So it's basically 12 modules. This is what module 1 consists of, all the mindsets, the frameworks, the factors, communication in module 2, the communication model, how thoughts, words, and actions impact kids and young people, what drives their needs, all actions and behaviors, psychology of learning, psychology of habit formation, the different levels of learning. You can see, right? So that's level 4, module 4, module 5, module 6, module 7, module 8, module 9, module 10, 11, and 12. So guys, like I said, there are some specials that's just for tonight only. Okay, you can get this thing off. This is the 12 modules for 4,997. I did say this earlier on. It's 4,997, 4,909, but just for tonight, and then it'll go down to 5,997 till the end of the month. That 2nd July is incorrect. It's till the 31st of July. Okay, you're gonna get all of that. 5 done for you courses, lifetime access to the training, 4-day recording of me doing the 4-day live training, being recorded with the big cameras and all of that. Okay, and you have lifetime access to all future Authority Coach trainings as well. So once you invest once, you're allowed to come as many times as you like, because we constantly upgrade and we're always putting in new stuff. We'll list you on the Life Coach and Authority. Oh, there we go. There's it, 4,997. I thought it's not on the slide. So the 1-day special that's for today for this webinar is you can come with a spouse or a sibling at that 4,997 rate. Okay, but it's only valid for 24 hours. Okay, then you can also join us if you're a teacher and you want to actually join us and become a study coach. This is our big brand. This is the one that's global, that's huge. So you can join our accelerated learning team. We've got a silver license that's on offer currently. You'll have 10 courses done for you, courses with student manual. You get the PowerPoint presentation, the student manual, you get the trainer's manual, you get everything, the marketing material, you get everything done for you on those courses, right? So it's basically a business in a box. So this one normally goes for 40,000 and you can get it at 25,000 rands, and you can do it with a spouse or a sibling. But again, it's only valid for 24 hours. All right, guys, that's the end of the I6 intro on personal power for kids, coaching and life coaching for kids. I hope this has been valuable to you and it had made, added massive value in your lives, and you've achieved what your objectives were. You've learned a whole lot of new things. So I'm open to your questions, and if you have any feedback or any questions, any comments, any queries, you can either ask it or you can type it out. I'm okay with both. Any questions, any comments? Was this valuable to you guys? Did it make a difference? Did we add value to your life? Fantastic. She says it was inspiring. Well done. Very good. Very informative and eye-opening. Fantastic. Jazakallah. What you do is, if you can pop me a WhatsApp message or an email, I will send it out to you. But I think all registrants, all those that registered for the webinar, will get a copy of, I think the system automatically sends it out, Junaid. But if it doesn't, you just message me. If by tomorrow morning you don't get the recording, just message me and I will send it to you. I'll send you a direct link to it. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's fantastic. Louise, there's a lot of programs that we have for grade 4s. There's a lot of specifically for grade 4s. Okay, so Farzana says you don't have my number or my email. My number is 083-786-9657. My email is junaid@junaidbayat.com or junaid@accelerated-learning. One of the things you get is a professional email address when you do the Life Coach for Kids training. Okay, so guys, anybody interested in becoming an authority coach? A life coach for kids? If you are, okay, cool. I'll look forward to your message. So if you have any questions, if you want, you can actually WhatsApp me and I can answer your questions on WhatsApp as well. If you don't want to ask it here, I don't mind. We can do that privately. Okay, guys, it seems like we don't have any questions. So I want to thank you all for In Durban, the one in Durban for Zara is over 4 Sundays. I'll send you, if you can just message me, I'll send you the flyer to that. 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's Durban. That's in person. It's over 4 days. That, by the way, the question was, guys, when will you be having a live coaching session in Durban, a class that I can attend live? So the 4-day live coaching training is going to be in Durban. Okay, guys, that's it from me. Take care. Allah bless. God bless everybody. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.